What do you say? What do you know? It's the full Monte Sports Show. It is Taco Tuesday, October 20th, 2020. I am your host, Monte Perez, a.k.a. The Sports Whisperer. You can follow me on social media, on Twitter, MonteJP231, on Facebook, Monte Perez, and on Instagram, Monte Perez2. I'm going to bring my co-host, Rico Show Me the Money Graziano, in a minute. But I'm warning you all, I am very salty with the way things are going in the NFL, and I'm actually salty with Rico, and I'm going to tell you why, then we're going to bring him on. So Rico calls me before the show as I'm driving home, and we're talking about the show, and he says to someone, it's not Levi, it's effing Monte. That is how he introduces me to people. He called me. So I don't understand why Rico was annoyed saying effing Monte. I didn't call him. I'm not disturbing him. He's calling me. So let's bring him on right now. Rico, why am I effing Monte?
Well, you see, you're saying it in the wrong. You said it in the wrong. It wasn't like I was like, hold on. Oh, it's effing Monte. I was straight up like, it's effing Monte. It was you read it totally wrong. Like
you didn't sound happy at all, Rico.
I wasn't like, oh, it's effing Monte. There's a lot of the dialogue. You're right. You're reading the dialogue wrong.
Okay. Listen, I don't expect to be, but you called me. So I don't know why you were annoyed when you were first talking to me.
I wasn't annoyed. I was annoyed because my wife asked me who I was on the phone with. Like, I wasn't allowed to be on the phone. So I was like, it's effing Monte. Like, it was more a start a fight with her thing than it had to do with you. But, I get it. You're like me. It's always about me.
No, it's not about me. But if you call me and start cursing that you're talking to me, just hang up the phone. I was in the middle of the conversation with my friend Andrea, and I hung up to speak to you.
Oh, Andrea, she's my favorite person, too.
All right, Rico. We start each Tuesday show with the NFL recap, and we start with 3 big questions. So here we go. Your Steelers are 5-0. But Devin Bush, who was second on the team in tackles with 26, is out for the year with a torn ACL. Walk me through this. What does this mean for Steeler Nation?
Well, Devin Bush, he's our left to right guy. He keeps, which is funny enough, is that he's kept the team. Our ends, Bud Dupree and T.J. Watt, have actually contained that, so not so much pressure is falling on him. So he's
not the one who's going to sack the quarterback, but he goes sideline to sideline. He's becoming a very good tackler. Is this a huge loss for them?
It's huge. It's going to be. We will feel it, but I feel like it can be. He's the shot caller. He's the guy who's calling the plays in the middle of the field. When the offense comes out, he's the guy who's calling it, which is my biggest concern of whoever takes that place for him. Because he's played almost every snap, which means that he's been the shot caller of the team.
Yeah, I think he's played every snap, right?
Well, yeah, he's out there literally every snap. So it's I'm a little concerned. I mean, you're in denial when he got hurt on the one sideline, man, to bring him across the whole field. And as they're walking across the field, I'm going, he looks good. It's going to be okay. Look at him. He only needs 2 people to carry him. I'm like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And he's getting worse and worse. And my friends are like, he's out for the year. I'm like, no, maybe 2 weeks. They're like, the year. I'm like, maybe 3. But Pittsburgh, they have a few young guys who are stepping in there. I can't remember the guy. I literally was just talking
one of the things the Steelers do is, and we'll talk about that when we go over the games, they just have a knack of drafting linebackers and drafting wide receivers. This kid Claypool, we're going to get into that. But real quick, listen, you added a little something, huh? This is a different room you're in.
No, yeah. You like it? I kept it up. I'm not even kidding. I don't even take them down sometimes. I just leave them. I just leave them where they are.
All right. So that was the first question. The second question is Ryan Tannehill, Rico, an MVP candidate? The Titans are 5-0, 69% of his completions, completing 13 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions.
I mean, he's playing exactly at what the Dolphins paid for back in the day. This is what they paid for when the Dolphins drafted him and put all that money into him and all that time into him. This is what they were paying for. Too bad he's not on the Dolphins that when he's finally doing it.
But Rico, I think a lot has to do with Adam Gase was the head coach, and he really, really, really did a terrible job there as he's doing with the Jets. Ryan Tannehill, people don't want to say he's a top 10 quarterback, but I got to tell you, since last year he took over the starting job for Marcus Mariota, statistically, he's in the top 5 in almost every category in rushing, passing, completion percentage, passer rating. He's doing a hell of a job.
You see, but that's his problem is that he doesn't get the conversation because he's not sexy enough for MVP consideration. You know, you got guys who talk about Josh Allen. You know, I mean, you see these names, you know,
listen, Kyler Murray. You know, Kyler Murray didn't play.
Numbers-wise, he should be in the
in
the conversation without a doubt. The fact that he's not is kind of, you know, again, it's like he's got this stigma, and you know, the MVP is, you know, Russell Wilson probably should have been MVP two other times. You know,
yeah. Listen, people outside of Tennessee don't know about this guy, but he's playing great. And again, Adam Gase made him into a game manager, and he's tearing it up. Even with Derrick Henry, he's throwing for 3 or 4 touchdown passes every week. Like I said, he has 13 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions.
He's dangerous with time. You give him a little time, and he's, you know, like that's what I get worried. That's what I'm worried about this week. You know, like somebody's leaving with a loss.
And you know what? Yeah, they play the Steelers this week, so it should be a fun. Now, finally, Rico, there are 2 teams now, okay, that are 4-2. That they're kind of at a crossroads. Okay, the Cleveland Browns are 4-2. The LA Rams are 4-2. If you had to put money on it, who's making the playoffs out of these 2?
Well, you know, both of their divisions are really tough, and they would have to be hoping for the 3rd spot. I honestly, that is such a coin flip. I want to love Baker Mayfield. I really do. He seems like a charming guy. Like, you know, like he's going to have a great career in announcing, and he's going to have a great career after football. I just hope it's in a few years and not next year or the year after. But I'm going to say Cleveland just because they're in our division, and I kind of like them. I like them a little. Yeah, I surely do.
Let me explain something before we talk about your banner that we need to get, because you literally have like a 4x6 inch sign there. I think the sign on the top right-hand corner is bigger than the sign you have. The sign I have on the screen.
What happened was that when I came in, I was all the way back against the wall, and then I saw that it was better to be forward for the lighting and everything. And then cut 2, I didn't really factor in the sign. I did 2/3 of the job.
Rico, so you know, I don't like anything about Baker Mayfield. I don't like his personality. I don't like the way he talks trash when he hasn't won anything. I don't like the fact that he called out his training staff. He called out a running back who left. I can't stand Baker Mayfield, so they can't lose enough games. But you watch the game on Sunday, and they've been dominated now 38-7 by the Steelers and 38-6 by the Ravens. So the 2 best teams in their division, he has been atrocious.
Well, like you said, his mouth has gotten him in trouble, and against Pittsburgh, their whole team's mouth got them in trouble. This was like a big, you know, last time they played, they just disrespected us on the field. And, you know, people forgot about it, I guess. And, you know, I guess they got over it, but Pittsburgh came out fired up. You know, Ben wasn't happy to watch his backup getting hit in the head with a helmet. There's a lot of bad blood on that field. The thing was that the Browns didn't realize that there was bad blood on the field.
So you're taking before we get to, we're jumping all over the place, but look at this. Adam Gase needs to be arrested for fraud. And here's this, Rico, you're not hating on the Rams. You just think the Browns have a better chance of making the playoffs, right?
No, I love the Rams. I want to see the Rams do good. It's a coin toss of who might make the playoffs.
But you just said you're taking the Browns.
I would take the Browns, but I'm not saying that they both could. I live in LA. You got to remember. So there is a little thing with me in LA of the Dodgers,
you sound like a politician.
the Lakers. They want to go to the playoffs. Like what? With the LA Kings are going to win the Stanley Cup next year? Is that what's happening?
You sound like a politician. You're not answering. Pick a team: the Browns or the Rams.
All right, the Rams. I'm going to say the Rams.
You let George talk you into it.
George talked me into it. If George wasn't on, the score might have been a little different. But
All
George,
right,
I'm afraid of George.
All right, we go around the league. We're going to break down every game and what happened. We're going to start right now with the Packers 4-1, lost to the Tampa Bay Bucks 3-2, 38-10. Ronald Jones has rushed for 100 yards 3 consecutive games. Look, Brady didn't play great. Rico, here's the problem I'm having as a Packer fan. Okay, last year they got manhandled by the San Francisco 49ers, a physical team. Then the Eagles went into Lambeau, and they physically dominated them. They got dominated by the Chargers. It's almost as if the Packers are a boxer like a Sugar Ray Leonard, and once you punch them 3, 4, 5 times like you would do to Oscar De La Hoya or Sugar Ray Leonard, they want no part of it. Aaron Rodgers throws a pick 6. They're getting punched in the face, and they have no answers. I'm getting worried that maybe the Green Bay Packers are just a finesse team.
Well, I blame this whole thing on my sister's boyfriend, Joel. He stopped over, and he literally turned to me and said his exact words. Do you know Aaron Rodgers hasn't thrown a pick 6 in like 4 years or something since whatever the year was. It was like 4 years ago. I am not kidding. 2 plays later, it was a pick 6. And then he brought up something about like the last time, like 2 picks within whatever. I blame the whole thing on him. But I said it on Sunday's show. I said, this game reminds me of when the Eagles went into Green Bay and beat them.
Physically, they just beat them up.
They were a great team. For some reason, they came in, got punched in the mouth, and they didn't play right. But I agree with you on that point that they might be a finesse type of team. They've been in the lead since the start of the season.
Yeah, listen, their offense is good, but something happens to them when they get in the hole. It's almost like the team just packs it in, and that starts with leadership. Aaron Rodgers, you throw a pick 6. You got to – listen, Justin Herbert, the rookie for the Chargers, throws an interception. He doesn't care. He's still slinging it. So let's hope the Packers get it right.
The whole team falls on him. The whole team falls on Aaron Rodgers. That's why they all fold, because he can't carry a whole team when you're in a hole.
Listen, the 4-1 Chiefs at the 4-1 Bills – we had Levi on the show, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire rushed for 26 times, 161 yards. Rico, I'm jumping off the Bills bandwagon. They have no running game, and their defense that was top 10 last year is now 28th. They can't get teams off the field. On third down conversions, offenses are averaging a first down on third down 50% of the time. Last night on third down, Kansas City was 9 for 14. That defense is on the field. They have no running game. Are you jumping off the Bills bandwagon?
No, I'm not. I still like Allen. I think he's a good quarterback. I feel like they're fun to watch. But the sample pool, if you're looking at their losses, the Chiefs are a tough team to beat, and you have to be on your A game. You can't be letting up those type of third down conversions, and that's a heartbreaker for them because every time there's third down, you're holding your breath. You're like, whenever it's like Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady on third down, I'm always like, okay, they didn't get it. It's fourth down. But like 50% of the time,
you expect them to get it on third down all the time. Listen, that Buffalo Bills defense, they lost players. They're missing some guys. They actually had some healthy scratches. The coach is trying to make a statement. But again, when a team goes 9 for 14 on third down, I don't care if it's the Chiefs or not. That's not getting it done.
Yeah, you're not beating them.
No, let's move to the Cardinals and the Cowboys. The Cardinals are now 3-2. They dominated the Cowboys. Here's the problem I have. I said this last night on the halftime show. I know you have Ezekiel Elliott, but when you have this trio of wide receivers, Amari Cooper got 1 ball thrown to him in the first half. CeeDee Lamb, they did nothing in the first half. What is Mike McCarthy doing? We're seeing now stories out of Dallas where the players are saying they have no game plan. They can't adjust. He's 6 games in. Listen, Jerry Jones, I'm going to make this comparison. Jerry Jones is a lot like Donald Trump in this aspect. In the 80s, he built his fortune. In the 90s, he's had success, and now he just overspends like a drunken sailor. Let me give you an example. They're giving Ezekiel Elliott $90 million. Derrick Henry, the best running back in the league, is getting $50 million. He's given Ezekiel Elliott $40 million more than Derrick Henry, who's the best running back in the league. Jerry Jones is just spending money. He has no clue how to build a team. That defense couldn't stop Alabama.
Well, you're right. He can't. He put all of his money on his offensive line, and now all the money is on the offense, and the offense isn't doing what offenses are supposed to do. It's kind of sad. I feel bad for their defensive players because they're just, they're under talented. Under talent, is that the word I can use?
You could use any word, Rico.
Any word, I could just make it up as I go along. Sure. They don't have the talent. They don't have the talent on the field, and they're not buying the talent. They haven't homegrown any talent on the field, and when you're doing that, what can you do? And then now you have Andy Dalton, who, I've watched him his whole career. He's had some good years, but at the end of the day, I haven't said that one in a while, but look at him now. You know what? The comparison. Who do you like better, Baker Mayfield or Andy Dalton?
We'll take Andy Dalton moving forward. Mike McCarthy doesn't know what he's doing. Mike McCarthy's like a deer in headlights. They are terrible. They are not prepared. And listen, I'm blaming Jerry Jones because Jerry Jones wants yes men like the guy in the White House. He doesn't want anyone who's going to coach the team and have control. This is all on Jerry Jones. You hired Mike McCarthy. You went out and you got CeeDee Lamb instead of building up your defense. And I love CeeDee Lamb from Oklahoma, the wide receiver, but they didn't even throw to him in the first half. So you went out and got this guy instead of going after and building up your defense, and this is what you get. So, listen, the winner of that division is going to be 6-10, 7-9.
Yep, that's why I said the Eagles in week 2. I said the Eagles have a shot to get to the playoffs.
No, I agree with you. All right,
teams, go ahead.
No, I was going to say let's move to the shocker. The 2-3 Broncos, 18-12 of the Patriots. The Broncos' first road win in New England since week 3, 2006. Cam Newton came out and said this is all on him. This is his fault. But you got to give props to the Broncos, don't you?
Well, if you love watching a game of field goals, this was the game to watch. Brandon McManus was 6 for 6, 18 points. It wasn't a great game to watch. I was watching it, and I kept going back and forth on whether I should just change it or not. And it did fall on Cam. He played terrible. It was the first time I've seen in a long time the Patriots play lazy. They looked lazy. He looked lazy.
Yeah, listen, they did not look good at all. Let's move to the 5-1. 5-1, Rico, Chicago Bears over the 3-3 Carolina Panthers. We're going to get into this with our guests in about 5 minutes. But I just want to say this about the Bears real quick, then we'll move on to the Texans. The Bears are 3-0 on the road for the first time since 2006. They have not let up 30 points this year on the season. That defense, their offense may not be great. They don't have a good running game, but that defense is pretty damn good.
Yeah, I agree. The defense is great. I agree. I was just looking at the notes that I had for them, and their defense is carrying, their defense is doing what they should have did last year. And and once you get a quarterback who's not turning over the ball every 5 passes, you're going to win.
Rico, let's move on to the Texans. They battled. They're 1-5. They lost to the Titans. And let me tell you something right now. This next week's game between the Steelers and the Titans is going to be a classic. These are two teams that are going to punch you in the mouth. They want to establish the running game. Are you nervous about this game coming up?
Yeah, totally. I think they're a good team, and if you can't stop luckily enough they stopped Kareem Hunt, but Kareem Hunt and Derrick Henry are two different beasts. So hopefully they can stop the run game. But every once in a while you'll see a team run through Pittsburgh, and I'm hoping it's not this week.
All right, Rico. And the Giants are 1-5. Washington went for the 2-point conversion. They didn't get it. Good for them. Go for it. You got nothing to play for. Are you taking Daniel Jones back if you have a chance to pick a top-tier quarterback like a Trevor Lawrence or a Justin Fields from Ohio State? Do you stick with Daniel Jones if you're the Giants?
No, if you can get one of those two, which I think the Jets will. I'm kind of excited to see Trevor Lawrence and on the Jets. That's my prediction. But if they can get the QB, they get him. If they can get the second pick in the draft, but if they're below the 5th pick, I think you have to stay with Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I think so. I think if listen, I think Atlanta's going to start to win some games now that they fired their coach. I don't think Jacksonville's any good, so they're going to go for a quarterback. I think the Giants and Jets are both in the hunt, but I really, seriously, I don't see how. I went through the schedule. I don't see how the Jets win more than one game this year, Rico. They are just so bad. It's terrible.
I don't want them to win a game. I don't want them. I want to see the pretty boy come to New York.
All right.
It'll be a great story.
Listen, I'm going to say this, and I don't understand why Eagle fans despise this guy. The Ravens 5-1 beat the Eagles. The Eagles are 1-4-1, 30-28. Carson Wentz is out 3 offensive linemen. He doesn't have a first or second wide receiver. He lost Zach Ertz, and he lost his running back, and yet he came back. They scored 21 points in the second half. If it wasn't for a stupid 2-point conversion where they tried to run the ball up the middle, they could have won this game on Carson Wentz's shoulder. I don't understand why Philadelphia Eagle fans despise this guy.
Well, he holds the ball long, and that probably annoys a lot of the fans. And, if you saw this game, the comeback was, it was pretty much the Ravens kind of like sleeping. I watched the game. I watched the fourth quarter. It was more or less kind of,
Listen, I'm not saying that, but you got to give credit to Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz, or was it the Ravens defense just kind of taking a back seat?
He's playing with guys who are working at Home Depot. Good thing he goes to Home Depot early, so you get the good workers for the early.
6 times he gets sacked like 5. Oh, I think his over/under on sacks is like 5.5 every week.
All right, let's move on. The Falcons 1-5, 40-23. Look, Julio Jones finally is healthy. He played well. This team can put up points. They have a ton of talent. I know you love Calvin Ridley. Do you think Atlanta, now that they fired their coach, let's forget about the Vikings because they're just a mess with Kirk Cousins. Do you think the Vikings have a little run in them?
Yeah, I think they really do. I think they're the intern coach, Raheem Morris.
The Falcons.
The Falcons, yeah, Raheem Morris. I think the intern coach, he said it. He goes, I can only look at what's happening today and forward. I can't look at what's happened. Julio's back. What was his stat line? 8 catches, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yeah. That's a big missing piece to your team if you have a guy who's doing that on week 1. His first week back. So, that he might have been the missing piece the whole time, and it's sad that the team just fell apart the way they did because there was 2 of those games they should have won, and they didn't.
Yeah, they should have won. They definitely should have won the Dallas game. I agree with you. I think they could make a little run.
They should be 3, yeah.
They should be, yeah. I'm going to talk about this game because DeAndre Swift, the rookie running back from Georgia, I love this kid. He is the first Lions rookie with 100 yards and 2 TDs since 1989. 1989. The Jaguars have led up 30 or more points in 5 or 6 games, so they're done. But listen, Detroit has some weapons. Adrian Peterson's playing well for them. You got DeAndre Swift, who I think another running back out of Georgia. We know Nick Chubb. We know Todd Gurley. The list goes on and on for Georgia running backs. He's a very good player, Rico.
Well, I'm very bitter at him because I had Matt Stafford as my quarterback in 2 of my teams, and so this young punk keeps coming in running touchdowns on me. I wasn't too happy watching him. So he's definitely on the Rico the naughty list, so to speak.
All right, Rico, let's talk about the Jets real quick. Jets lost 24-0, 0-6 for the first time since 1996. The Dolphins shut him out. Joe Flacco was just terrible. The offensive game plan was terrible. But here's the good news. People are saying that this is the wrong move, and I'm like, what are you talking about? It's Tua time. Tua is going to be the starting quarterback. They have a bye this week, and then they play the Rams. So we'll have to get George Lopez on for that. How do you feel about them making the change?
Shocked. He must have won the job in practice somehow, some way. I don't know why. I know the over-under for him playing, starting his first game was 6. So 6 weeks was the over-under on him playing, which I thought was done. I didn't think we'd see him on the field. I'm in shock that he's playing. He must have won the job in practice, and I'm happy.
Rico, I don't really think it. I don't think it's that. I think we're seeing Joe Burrow play so well. We're seeing Justin Herbert play so well. These guys, Justin Herbert has a lot of talent. I mean, the offensive line, he lost his center, but he's got wide receivers. Joe Burrow's putting up numbers. I think they're sitting there. They're like, look, we're 3-3. We got to buy. These rookie quarterbacks are making some noise. We got to play this guy and see what he's all about.
I'm still baffled why they did it. Fitzpatrick has been playing well. It's not like he deserved to lose the position. So, again, it must have been something in practice or, I don't know. When I heard about it, I was shocked.
I'm happy they're doing it. People here in Florida are loving it. Now let's move to something that George Lopez is going to be angry about. The 4-2 Rams lost to the 3-3 49ers, 24-16. Jimmy G is 7-1 in primetime games. But here's something that most people don't know. These guys were coaches in Washington. They were on the same staff with also the coach of the Green Bay Packers, Matt LaFleur. But Kyle Shanahan, Rico, is 4-0 against Sean McVay.
Talk about having somebody's number, huh there, George?
Yeah. Listen, wow, going after him.
Hey, I know it's like to be on the other side. The Patriots have had the Pittsburgh Steelers number forever. So
I disagree with Greg here. I think Tua is going to be fine. If Ryan Fitzpatrick can win 3 games, that division is not great. The Buffalo Bills defense is not good. New England's defense is good. The Jets defense is a disaster. So I think Tua is going to succeed right away.
Well, we'll find out. I don't know why you change. It's not, again, I just don't know why you change your quarterback if you won. It's not like they lost.
But we know that Ryan Fitzpatrick is not the future. Ryan Fitzpatrick's whole job was to mentor like Alex Smith did in Kansas City. So Ryan Fitzpatrick is not the answer. This is the right. They're 3-3. They have a bye week. The time is now.
Well, I guess I wonder how hard Tua. I guess everybody wants to play. I guess Tua didn't want to sit on the sideline either. So,
what do you think about this? Can you win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff as your quarterback?
Yeah, he's a great game manager. I think he's a good game manager. I think he's learning his role, and I think he wasn't following it. He's not going to win you games, but he's not going to be the guy coming back from 21 points or 14 points.
Yeah, listen, I don't think Goff is a top 10 quarterback, but he went to a Super Bowl. You can win Super Bowls with him. I'm just shocked that Kyle Shanahan is 4-0 against his one of his best friends. I mean, 4-0 is that's a sweep.
That's it.
That's a sweep.
If it was the NBA, they would have been knocked out.
Knocked out in the first round. Yeah. So, that's Sean McVay, who everyone thought like right away was such a great coach, but now you're seeing Kyle Shanahan and you're seeing Matt LaFleur. Those 3 guys were in Washington, and Washington passed on all 3 guys, and they hired Gruden.
And they hired Gruden.
Yeah, Gruden. So it shows you why Washington is Washington.
The first time Washington has done something like that. They've done this multiple times.
All right, there you go. We break down every game in the NFL. Obviously, the Steelers and Ravens playing this week. We'll talk about that on Sunday. That is the NFL recap. We're going to bring on now Vashti Hurt. She is the founder, editor-in-chief of Carolina Blitz, reporting on fresh and new stories outside of the traditional sports report. Let's bring her on. Vashti, so glad to have you on today. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. My internet froze up for a minute, so I wasn't sure.
No, that's okay. Listen, that happens sometimes. So just putting this up there to put you in a good mood. Old James Taylor song in my mind. I'm going to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine? We're going to start you off with a pretty tough question. Normally we have like a highlight or something to get you going, but I thought this was a very good question. Who has had a better career as a Carolina Panther, Steve Smith or Cam Newton?
Ooh, that's a tough one. They both went to the Super Bowl. They are both beloved by Panthers fans. But Cam Newton won an NFL MVP. So
that is true.
I have to pick one. It would be the guy who won a league MVP. So it'd be Cam.
Listen, they're both beloved. Like even now, Steve Smith is still loved, right? And even though Cam Newton is playing, there's no bitterness, right, by Carolina fans of him going to New England, right?
Oh, there are a lot of fans who are now New England fans. As much as it pained them, a lot of Carolina fans are disgruntled with how the separation went with Cam Newton, and so they're ready. They followed Boogie to New England. I think in their heart of hearts, they're still Panthers fans, but they're rooting for Cam Newton too.
Well,
Yeah, and listen,
Steve Smith went to the Ravens, didn't he?
Yeah, he did go to the Ravens.
Yeah, I know. I'm a Steelers fan. I was at a game when I watched him get like a 75-yard pass. I hate him.
He was motivated that first season back, but then his father time is undefeated. So
that's right.
I'll tell you, one of the things, as you know, people are voting for Steve Smith here. One of the things I actually loved about Steve Smith is he was one of the first, undersized wide receivers you would see who loved to block. He loved hitting people. He was a very good blocking wide receiver.
And he wasn't drafted to really be a wide receiver. He was really drafted as a returner. And initially, that's what his role was. But he kind of evolved into that receiver role and that number one receiver role at Carolina. And people loved him. That Jake Delhomme, Steve Smith connection was special in the early 2000s.
Yeah, he's a football player, top to bottom. Like he takes a shot in the middle of the field. I've seen him take a few nice hits crossing the middle.
Yeah, he wasn't just a deep guy that he'd go over the middle, he'd get dirty. Yeah, no, he was.
Yeah, he was getting hit. He was getting hit before they were throwing flags for the hits that he was getting. You know what I'm saying?
He played angry, like he always had it. And it was like people could have definitely had the utmost respect for him, and he would have found one small thing and he would take that and he would hone in on that and he would channel that
and use that as motivation. Yeah.
And then and he just I think some of that, that he had little man syndrome in there a little bit, and it helped him on the field because he played fearlessly, that's for sure.
Yeah, he did. Listen, I want to get to the Carolina Panthers, but before we do that, I loved the hire of Matt Rule and his offense coordinator who came over from LSU, Joe Brady, who coached Joe Burrow last season. Matt Rule made history as an offensive coach. He took 7 draft picks, all on the defensive side. No one has ever done that in the history of the NFL. What do you like about this staff? What don't you like so far?
I honestly, I have to be real. I was very apprehensive at first because historically, college coaches do not translate well, or they have not translated well into the NFL. But so far, the players speak highly of him. He seems to be creating a culture. He talks a lot about the culture that he's creating. I think the jury is still out about what that really is. He says it's tough football, hard-nosed football. But every team wants to play tough, hard-nosed football. So I would say initially, and when you say don't like, I will start with that because the jury is still out. We're only 6 games in. So the jury is still out about how his success will be long-term. I am still waiting to see how, if he'll be able to be one of those coaches who successfully goes from college to pros, kind of like a Pete Carroll did. What I like about him, he seems to be a player's coach. I mean, the guys seem to love him. He'll do things like let the guys off of work during the morning so that they can take their kids to school. Like little things like that I think make a difference, especially, when football consumes so much of your life. To have that personal side added to it, that seems to be something that, I appreciate, and I think the players appreciate it as well.
Yeah, the season is a grind, so little things like that always mean a lot, especially now with COVID-19. What we're seeing more so than ever. I was shocked that Bill Belichick, once they had a test, he closed down the facility and he in New England, and he said, "Look, players come first." He's like, "Football secondary." We're seeing a lot of coaches become more creative, be less strict. Pete Carroll has made a career of that. Talk about opposite ends of the spectrum. Pete Carroll is a player's coach, likes to have a good time. Bill Belichick wants to keep it all business and professional. There's different ways to be successful. So I definitely like what you're saying about that. Look, you could talk to Rico about this. I went crazy when I saw Las Vegas had the Panthers winning 5 games. I'm like, Teddy Bridgewater won 5 games as a backup, and they have talent. They have Christian McCaffrey. Look, you started off 0-2. Then you won 3-0. You should have never lost that game to the Raiders. Terrible call running that dive. You're without McCaffrey. Hopefully he'll be back this week, if not next week. But you're 3-3. So is this what you expected during the season? I had them winning 7 or 8 games.
I honestly didn't expect 3. I would say 3-3 is about average. But they have a tough stretch coming up. I mean, at New Orleans, then the Falcons come, and I'm sure they'll be out for blood. Then you go to the Chiefs, and then you have the Buccaneers come to Carolina. So they have a tough stretch of games. And when you think about that, they still have Green Bay on the schedule, another round with the Saints. I think that 5 games, given the fact that this is a new coach, a totally new regime, new players, and still getting to know each other, I thought 5 games was really a fair assessment.
Yeah, but they're at 3 right now. So, I mean, all they got to do is win 3. They got to go. There's 10 games left. They just have to win 3. And look, whatever you're saying is really working because people are saying they've never seen Rico so attentive. So, So you thought 5 games was a fair assessment with Vegas?
Yeah, I really did. Just because it historically Matt Rule in his first year play, honestly, what he's doing now, I don't think anybody expected him to do. So shout out to him for that. But his first year at Baylor, I think he won like 2 games.
Oh, no, he struggled, yes. But he's turned every program around, yeah.
He has after that first year. But that first year was always a struggle fest. And so I think that people tempered their expectations, expecting the same thing here. And then they go on this win streak. They lost the first 2 and everybody was like, oh, okay, well, this is what it's going to be. Tank for Trevor. We've been hearing a lot of that here in the Carolinas.
That's what the Jets are doing.
Right.
The Jets aren't tanking. They just don't know how to play as a whole. Different. No, but I think I told Rico, I said on our first show, I said, I'm not a big gambler. Like I'll bet, I do DraftKings. But if I had money to bet the house, bet my farm, bet every cliche, Rico, I said, bet it that Carolina is going to win more than 5 games.
I wouldn't bet my house. I
took the under 2 on that one. I said to myself, that's the under. And I don't know what this rumor is. Do you think that Christian McCaffrey? I heard he's not coming back for another 3 or 4 weeks because there's no reason to rush him back.
Well,
and I have Mike Davis.
Mike Davis has been playing well.
He's been playing very well.
The last time we spoke to Matt Rule, which was yesterday, he basically said that he saw Christian. Christian is looking good, but he would not give a specific timetable for his return. I don't see them rushing him back because of that as well, because Mike Davis has been playing as well as he has. I think that, if they win at New Orleans and possibly have a shot, to kind of compete for the NFC South legitimately, then I think you bring Christian McCaffrey back. But you don't want to unnecessarily bring him back either. So if it's not going to be a season, if you're going to kind of call it a wash, then let Christian McCaffrey rest. I mean, they ran him like a dog last year. He needs a break.
Listen, I agree with this because I have him in my fantasy football too. And him getting hurt. Just, I put the picture up of the stadium back there. You said on Sunday you were tweeting out you thought there were more Bears fan than Carolina. This is the problem I have with Carolina. I'm a huge Duke fan. It's a great college town. The basketball team has never really had success under Michael Jordan. That's a whole other issue we could get into. I think Jordan is the worst NBA manager in the history of the NBA. But the Carolina Panthers, their fans, will they support this team if they're in a rebuilding process?
I mean, there have been rebuilding processes before. Right before Cam Newton got here, they won 1 game, and then Cam Newton came and kind of changed the franchise and brought excitement back. I think they're kind of in a downward slope again. There absolutely were more Bears fans there than Panthers fans, and I was shocked at that because there were really only 5,000 fans in there, and the teams who the people who were there didn't, very few Panthers fans. So, but I think, just like any franchise, I think they'll need somebody to energize it. Unfortunately, a lot of fans think that Teddy Bridgewater is boring, and they're not, and if you go from Cam to Teddy, I can understand
Yeah.
where you may think.
Great point.
Okay,
Great point.
This
I
is not what we signed up for.
Yeah,
So,
I said he's just not as sexy as Cam Newton was, and I said that like why Ryan Tannehill isn't being talked about in the MVPs because he's not sexy. He doesn't have a sexy name. Nobody wants to whoever came in was not going to have what Cam Newton had for all those years. So
listen, Teddy Bridgewater.
I was wondering.
Wait, hold on, Rico. Before you ask the question, Teddy Bridgewater, okay, is the opposite of Cam Newton. He just wants to be in the film room. He just wants to win. When he scores a touchdown, he's so opposite of Cam Newton. You make a great point. It's like going from super sexy to just average.
Exactly. I mean, it's like your ex is over here and your ex moved up in life, and then
your ex lost 20 pounds.
20 pounds.
Great. They're working out.
I love it. The comparison. Your ex, he's looking great on Facebook.
You see them. They walk in with Bill Belichick and a franchise that wins Super Bowl after Super Bowl, and then you come in and you're like, okay, well, we're gonna ride this out. And I think that Panthers fans right now are having a hard time with that. But Teddy Bridgewater, he said he doesn't care about that. He will win fans over by winning, and we'll see if that happens.
I say it all the time. Better to win ugly like George Lopez than lose pretty. Always better than look at the Bears.
I agree.
The Bears are 5-1, and they're winning ugly.
I was going to say, so what do you think are the strengths and weaknesses of this offense? I mean, besides Christian McCaffrey, if you remove him from the offensive, like now, because again, I don't think he's going to be playing for the next few weeks. So what do you think are your major strengths and weaknesses?
How about Robbie Anderson, my Jet wide receiver, 36 receptions?
Robbie Anderson, I wouldn't even say arguably at this point. Right now, and it's only 6 games in, I think Robbie Anderson has been the best free agent wide receiver signing that the Panthers have had. And they had Keyshawn Johnson a while ago, and he was kind of in the twilight of his career. But Robbie Anderson is legit. And, a lot of Panthers fans didn't really know about him because he was up in New York. But, I mean, everybody, it's crazy because people don't like Teddy, but they love Robbie. It's just this coolness about him, this laid backness, and then the whole bear thing that happened with the mascot, and it's just, I mean, they really like him. I think that offensively, the Panthers have a lot of weapons, and they showed that. Curtis Samuel was injured this past week. I'm not sure if they'll get him back, but you have Curtis Samuel, you have DJ Moore, you have Christian McCaffrey if he returns. But even if he doesn't return, Mike Davis has proven to be very good. The concern just coming off last week, prior to last week, the offensive line kept Teddy pretty clean, but they did not have their best game on Sunday. And if they revert back to, kind of, subpar play, then the Panthers have really no shot. I mean, Teddy is not he showed some mobility, but he would rather sit back there in the pocket and throw the ball. So, I mean, right now the weakness based on last week's play, Teddy didn't have a good game, but I think that that's more an exception norm. But that offensive line has to play much better.
This is great right here. Robbie Anderson is proof that once you leave the Jets, you can have action. Listen, you can. The Jets are the place where careers go to die, and I can't let this go because Peter's right. Isaiah Thomas was the worst general manager for the Knicks ever. Why are we talking about the Knicks and Jets? Who cares? They're my teams, but let's move on. All right, Rico, I know you have another question for her.
Hold on, I'm just thinking. So the Panthers travel to New Orleans against the Saints. I think Teddy Bridgewater should have some advantages going against his former team. Give us some keys to the game, offense and defense for this upcoming week.
Do you think, he was in New Orleans for a year. He won 5 games. Do you think he's going to have some sort of advantage, know what's going on? You think that plays a part?
I mean, it could, but I don't expect it to. Sean Payton is such a crafty little thing to me. And I know that if anything, it may work to their disadvantage because he's familiar with Joe Brady, and he's familiar with Teddy Bridgewater, and he knows their strengths and their weaknesses. And he is so cunning that I think that he would take that and flip it and schematically, defensive wise, do things to throw Teddy off. As far as keys to the game, the Panthers are going to have to start off early. Like, they cannot get down early.
They can't play from behind. They cannot play from behind.
Play from behind in New Orleans against the Saints. They're just too talented of a team. They cannot have what happened against the Bears. Like, off rip, the Panthers just looked terrible. I mean, you have a sack. I think they had a run play for negative yards. They had a sack and then an interception and pick six. So, they absolutely have to start fast. They have to set the tone off rip. And if they don't do that, they'll be in for a long day.
Full disclosure, I am seriously, I said this earlier in the season. I've said this for about 2 years now. I think the Saints are the biggest frauds in the NFL.
I was just about to say that. I was going to say, I want to ask Monte a question. Do you think your biggest fraud team going against your biggest team that's the shocker? Because he talks about how Carolina is going to shock people this year, and then he talks about how much he hates the Saints because he thinks that they're the biggest fraud.
Here's why every year Every year they go 12-4, they go 13-3, and then they get smoked in the playoffs. They lose to the Vikings. Okay, I know the Rams and that call, but they lose to the Vikings on a last-minute play. With Stephon Diggs where they missed the coverage. Every time they get into the playoffs, they're gonna. I'm not gonna say they're gonna choke. But I just think Sean Payton and Drew Brees, I'm tired of them. I'm tired of the game planning. I'm tired of Drew Brees marching down the field, and then all of a sudden they take out Brees, they put in Taysom Hill, he runs a 2-yard dive, and people are calling Sean Payton a genius. Let Drew Brees make plays. So I think the Panthers need to run the ball. I mean, I'm very worried about the Saints' defensive front and the Panthers' offensive line. If Christian McCaffrey was going, especially on that fast turf, I'd be much more confident. But, yeah, I'm leaning towards the Saints, but I think the Panthers go in there. I think they have a good game plan. I think it's good that they kind of lost because they are a young team putting it together, and maybe they'll be more focused, like, hey, we're not as good as a 3-game win streak. So, I think they can hang in there. Am I crazy for thinking that?
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, they really haven't gotten destroyed all season, and I don't think that'll happen, especially not with the division game. They usually play; those are usually pretty competitive. Usually, I know last year when they went to New Orleans, that was kind of like the nail in the coffin for them, and they were winning most of the game. So, I expected it would be a competitive game. I wouldn't put my money on them, but I also, as you were saying, Monty, I wouldn't be surprised if they won. I wouldn't be completely surprised.
All right, we're talking with Vashti Hurt here on the Full Monty Sports Show. You can check her out at Carolina Blitz on Twitter with Rico Graziano. Before we get to our final question, we have a few minutes left. So is Teddy Bridgewater the starter next year if they don't make the playoffs? Or do you think he was just a 1-year hire and they're moving away from him and they're going to draft a quarterback? I could see them drafting a quarterback and doing the same thing that Miami is doing right now. 5 or 6 games, you have Bridgewater, and then boom, you bring in whether it's Trevor Lawrence, whether it's the kid Fields from Ohio State, whether it's the kid from North Dakota State. I think that Bridgewater, if you surround him like you are, and if Christian McCaffrey was healthy, I think they'd be 4-2 right now, and we wouldn't have this conversation.
I mean, it depends on how they finish. If they finish bad enough to get a Fields or even to get a Lawrence, then obviously Teddy Bridgewater probably will start as your quarterback, but you may see, like you said, in Miami and also in with the Chargers. But
Justin Herbert, loved him.
That was a different situation with Taylor getting hurt, but still the same type of thing. You have a young guy who's talented, who's probably going to be your quarterback for the future, and you just want to get the feet wet at first. But they signed him to what, 3 years, $60 million. So I mean, it's not like he's just he may be a placeholder maybe,
Right.
but there's no way that they're just not going to use him next year. I mean, they paid him too much money.
Yeah, I agree.
No, listen,
Yeah,
they committed
he's
to
on a
him.
long-term contract. Well, 3 years is long-term in the NFL. So
Yeah, they committed to him. They moved off of Cam, and they said this is going to be our guy. I thought he played phenomenal last year in New Orleans. He was 5-0. I think they have a plethora of talent, like we said, with Robbie Anderson and their running back filling in for Christian McCaffrey. So give us your prediction record-wise for every team in this division, because this division, if Atlanta starts believing with that offense, it's going to be a scary division.
I love when he does that. Give me the record of every team in this division. He does that to me too.
I can't do that. Like, it is so tough. I don't even do predictions for the Panthers hardly. I mean, it is so hard. I don't expect Atlanta to do much of anything. It's just, I know that, they got the win last week. I can give you placement in the division. I was thinking about, golly, records. I'm so terrible at it. But I think the Bucs will finish first. I mean, they're the team right now who looks the best. Their defense played lights out.
Todd Bowles is a great coordinator.
I mean, good grief. And so if you give Tom Brady, even though he's old, but you give him that defense, you still got to respect. You still have to respect that offense. New Orleans, I'm going to have finishing second just because they are a team who's been together for a while and they still have the pieces. I think that Drew Brees is he's showing his age more this year, definitely. But they can still get it done. They've done enough during the regular season, as a disclaimer, to earn respect there. The Panthers, I have them finishing 3. I don't know. I don't have them winning any more than 5 games, but I don't have the Falcons winning any more than 5 games either. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But specific records, I'm awful with that.
So the final question here, and then we're going to ask you how we can follow you and support you, because we actually the comments are great. People love you. Tremendous job. Thank you. So are we going into every game as a Carolina Panther fan with the 4th best quarterback in the division? Is Teddy Bridgewater better than Matt Ryan and Drew Brees right now in his career? Or every division game we're behind the 8 ball because we have the 4th best quarterback?
I think Teddy Bridgewater is. I have to erase the last game from my memory though, because I think he looked.
Listen. The Bears make people do that. The Bears have a very good defense.
They have a very good defense.
Look what Rodgers just did with Tampa Bay. He played horrible.
They have an excellent defense, but Teddy had some throws that he should have made in that game. So I'm gonna take away that game, and look at what I've seen from him holistically. And I think that he's there. I don't think that he's the 4th best. I think that Matt Ryan, he's had problems throwing the deep ball. And Drew Brees has shown his age. I would put him right there at number 3.
So you say it's not a major disadvantage?
Not a major no. Having Teddy Bridgewater at this point, not even with Tom Brady, I don't think it's a major disadvantage having him.
You bring up a good point, and like I said, look, the Bears have a very good defense. Aaron Rodgers didn't have an interception. He goes into Tampa, and they make him look like a rookie quarterback.
Blown.
No, me too. I'm a Packer fan, so I was absolutely blown away. This was so much fun, Vashti. How can we follow you? How can we support you? I tell everyone who comes on my show, my Twitter page is getting about 10 million hits per month. So please put your work, put anything you want, so people can follow you and support your career.
Yeah, so on Twitter, you can search Carolina Blitz, but the specific is @Keep Blitzing. And then everywhere else is Carolina Blitz. So we have YouTube pages where we post all of the press conferences, and we cover, Duke, UNC, NC State, the Panthers, Hornets. So, and then Instagram @Carolina Blitz, Facebook Carolina Blitz. So we're everywhere. So if you search Carolina Blitz, you'll be able to find our content.
This was so much fun. We'll have you on again, because when the Carolina Panthers win 5 games, I'm going to have you back on. And
you're going to humble me, because I'll be like, man, I was wrong.
Are you a Duke or North Carolina fan?
I can't say, because I cover both teams.
I'm a Duke fan. Just letting you
That's a
know.
loaded question if I've ever seen one.
I am a Duke fan, so hopefully, we can talk Duke basketball as well. Thank you so much. We'll have you on again. Appreciate you taking the time out
Thank you.
and making our show better.
Thanks so much for having me.
Take care. Have a good rest of the week. She was great. Great job by her, right, Rico?
She's
funny,
great.
knows what she's talking about.
Charming.
What's that?
I said charming. She knows what she's knows what she's talking about. Didn't pay much attention to me, but still, I'm okay with it right now.
People. Rico, people are asking, are they new glasses that you're wearing right now?
They're. I when I bought my glasses, I bought 2 pair because I always lose one, and so I figured I have 2-bedroom house. So these are now officially my Tuesday night glasses.
Is it your disguise, Rico? Are you hiding from something?
Yeah.
All right, Rico, listen.
I'm always hiding from life in general. That's my whole thing.
Our good friend Greg is a diehard UNC fan. Of course I'm a Duke fan. Who else would I root for? I don't know who this person is joining our show, but they've been great. Lower Marion 33, whoever that is, it's hilarious.
Whoever LC is put up my high school and everything before really gave me a good laugh. I wish we could go back on the comments.
How about this, Rico? Right here. LensCrafters, future sponsor of the show.
Hey, got my glasses at LensCrafters. Where have you got yours?
And this was good. Yeah, listen, she did a tremendous job. Just a tremendous job. I was following her on social media, and I reached out to her, and she goes to the games every Sunday. So we're going to give her a round of applause. Obviously knows the Carolina Panthers. I was so happy with you because I've been talking trash about the Carolina Panthers. I watched the whole game, and unfortunately the Bears defense was too good for Teddy Bridgewater. But they're a fun team to watch. Robbie Anderson is getting it done. I mean, he had 36 catches coming into the game.
Well, listen, I am a huge fan of Carolina right now because I took Mike Davis off the wire, and then magically Christian McCaffrey got hurt. So I've been living in like free money zone.
Did you reel your lineup?
What's that?
Yeah, I agree. I've never seen you more focused on a guest, even when George Lopez comes on. Listen, and yes, listen, the Bears. I'm actually going to reach out to Daniel after the show. I want him to come on with George and talk Bears Rams because they play this Sunday, so that should be a lot of fun. So we'll definitely have to check that out. Rico, want to thank you for taking the time out, and congratulations to you. You have 4 winning weeks betting against the spread on Sunday, against 1 losing week, and because of Derrick Henry,
I think I'm 5-1, aren't I?
5-1, yes, 5-1. What did I say? 4-1?
5-1 already. Woo.
5-1, you're killing it. And because of Derrick Henry, Rico, who you didn't like, who you and Levi said you would rather have Mixon from the Bengals, he won your fantasy because he had over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he won. I have him on a team. We ended up picking him, and you're gonna have to let that go sooner or later. We've both admitted that we were wrong and you were right, and you still hammer away at that.
Rico, you still bring up Marcus Mariota.
Hey, wait, where is he again? Oh, yeah, that's right.
He's in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I know
gambling.
He's in Las Vegas gambling. Yeah, he's at the casinos, my boy, playing poker somewhere else.
He's not on the field, that's for sure. So listen, Rico, thanks so much for coming on. We will see you Sunday. You are winning people money. Again, I made a mistake. You are 5-1. 5 winning weeks. 1 losing week. Someone said to me, hey, Rico, sometimes he's only winning 2 out of 3 games. I'm like, that's still 66%. Yeah. Most wise guys want to get 60%.
Well, that's why we pick 3 games. So either I win or I lose. That's the whole concept. If we pick 4 games, then it might be 50%. And what do you tie? Anyway.
Okay, Rico, before you go, this may be the worst fantasy football move in the history of fantasy football.
Oh, why? For who?
Why?
For who? Who could you put on? Who?
He's going to be on the show. He's going to be on the show this Sunday. I'm going to reach out to him right after the show. So, Rico, we'll see you on Sunday. Great job as always. And again, the glasses look styling. That was Rico showing me the money, Graziano. I want to thank all of you for tuning into the full Monte Sports Show. Again, we do Sunday, we do the previews, we have guests all over the country, and then on Tuesday night, we recap it for an hour. Sunday show is usually about an hour and a half, a little bit more comedy. This is more nuts and bolts, so to speak, of football and getting right to it. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. Again, if you like this show, feel free to repost it on your social media websites. One of our shows is up to 1,000 views, so we are growing at a fast rate. We couldn't be happier. I will see you on Sunday. And in the immortal words of Llewellyn Moss, I shall return. Carla Jean.